In 753 BCE, according to legend, two brothers raised by a giant she-wolf stood on the banks of the Tiber River and founded a city that would rule the world. Romulus killed his brother Remus in a dispute over where to build, and Rome was born in fratricide. But here's the mystery. Was this legend true, or was Rome actually an Etruscan port city called Rumen that the Romans reinvented with a glorious origin story? Archaeological evidence points to the Etruscans, the most powerful civilization in Italy before Rome, as the city's true founders. For 244 years, Etruscan kings ruled Rome with absolute power, consulting with a senate of wealthy citizens but always having the final word. Then in 509 BCE, everything changed. When the son of King Tarquin the Proud raped a governor's daughter and refused to accept responsibility, the Roman elite had had enough. They overthrew the monarchy and created something the ancient world had never seen before. The Roman Republic wasn't just a new government, it was a radical experiment in preventing tyranny. The Romans kept their senate but eliminated the king, replacing him with two consuls who could check each other's power. They created separate branches of government. Consuls executed the law, the Senate wrote it, and 8 judges interpreted it. The system had built-in safeguards against any one person becoming too powerful. But here's what made it really work: the 12 Tables of 449 BCE. These laws, carved in bronze and displayed in the Forum, guaranteed that rich and poor stood equal before the law. A wealthy senator could be prosecuted just like a common farmer. This stability allowed Rome to expand through conquest, and after defeating Carthage in the Punic Wars from 264–146 BCE, Rome became the Mediterranean's only superpower. The Republic had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Rome's secret weapon wasn't superior soldiers or better tactics. It was a policy so clever it turned enemies into the empire's greatest strength. When Rome conquered your territory, they made you an offer. Become a Roman province, accept Roman law, pay taxes, provide soldiers, and in return, you get citizenship. You could own property, do business across the empire, and your children could rise through Roman society. While other empires ruled through fear, Rome ruled through inclusion. They built 250,000 miles of roads, enough to circle Earth 10 times, connecting every province to Rome. These roads moved armies at lightning speed, but also enabled trade and communication. Roman aqueducts brought fresh water to cities. Their concrete, made with a volcanic ash formula, we still can't replicate, created buildings that stand 2,000 years later. They even encouraged Roman men to marry provincial women, creating family ties that bound the empire together. Through Latin language and culture, Rome unified millions of people. Roman religion started with animism, the belief that everything had a spirit, but evolved into a sophisticated polytheistic system modeled on Greek gods. Jupiter, king of the gods, ruled with his wife Juno. Minerva governed wisdom, Mars controlled war, Vesta protected the home, and Saturn ensured good harvests. But religion in Rome wasn't personal, it was political. The state sponsored temples and festivals because Romans believed that by honoring the gods would honor Rome. The Vestal Virgins, priestesses who tended Vesta's sacred flame, were among the most important figures in Rome because if that flame went out, it meant disaster for the state. Every city had its own patron deity and temple. There was no priestly class, the state appointed priests. But on a daily basis, Romans worshipped household gods and the spirits of their ancestors who protected the home. Religion was woven into every aspect of Roman life, from public ceremonies to private devotion. The foundation of Roman society was the family, controlled absolutely by the paterfamilias, the father. He had life and death power over everyone in his household. He could even reject a newborn baby, ordering it abandoned in the streets if he didn't want it. This concept extended to the emperor, who presented himself as the father of all Romans. Daily life varied dramatically by class. Wealthy Romans lived in villas or houses with private courtyards, while the poor crowded into insulae, apartment buildings that were ancient Rome's version of modern apartment complexes. Everyone started the day with a light breakfast of bread and pastries. The main meal came in late afternoon. The rich enjoyed spiced meats and delicacies, while the poor often had only bread with thin soup. Romans were obsessed with bathing. Public baths weren't just for hygiene but were social centers where people gossiped, made business deals, and relaxed. The emperor provided free entertainment, gladiatorial games, chariot races, theater productions. This was the famous bread and circuses, free food and entertainment to keep the masses happy. Romans pioneered the concept of fast food through thermopolia, literally, places where something hot is found. These establishments had counters with large jars built into them containing prepared food. You'd order, pay, and take your meal to go, just like modern fast food. The upper classes looked down on thermopolia because they served the poor, but they were everywhere in Rome. Roman cuisine centered on olive oil, used both in cooking and as a dipping sauce. But their favorite condiment was garum, a fermented fish paste that Romans put on everything. They loved sauces, seasoning food with celery seeds, coriander, dates, honey, and vinegar. While wealthy Romans drank wine, the common people and soldiers drank pasca, vinegar mixed with water and spices, or watered-down cheap wine. The Romans stored vegetables in brine, dried fruits like grapes and dates for snacks, and used carob in desserts. Food united Romans across social classes, even if what they ate differed dramatically. The Roman army was divided into legionaries, Roman citizens who were the elite troops, and auxiliaries, non-Romans who fought for lower pay and less respect. A legion contained 4,000–6,000 men divided into centuries of 80 soldiers, commanded by a centurion. Legionaries enlisted for 25 years at about 2.5 sesterces per day, roughly $5–8 in modern terms. After service, they received a discharge bonus and land. Auxiliaries had to serve 25 years before earning citizenship, and they were always placed in the front lines where casualties were highest because Rome considered them expendable. Roman soldiers wore helmets, body armor over woolen tunics, and sandals, carrying a sword, shield, dagger, and javelin. They trained to march 20 miles per day in full battle gear and be ready to fight immediately. The network of Roman roads meant armies could deploy anywhere in the empire within days. Soldiers fought in tight formations that both protected them and created devastating force when breaking enemy lines. Walk down any street in the modern world and you're walking through Rome's shadow. The United States government copied Rome's structure: executive, legislative, and judicial branches, even the electoral college, because Rome's elite didn't trust common people to elect leaders. In business, Romans invented the concept of returns, bringing merchandise back for store credit, refund, or replacement. They created the vault, the arch, and the dome in architecture. The U.S. Capitol and countless buildings worldwide copy Roman designs. Romans established the first fire departments, police forces, and sanitation departments. Their amphitheater design still shapes modern stadiums. Latin became French, Italian, and Spanish, and forms the basis of countless English words. When Rome adopted Christianity in the 4th–5th centuries, they transformed an obscure sect into a world religion. Many Catholic practices come directly from Roman religious traditions. But how did this mighty empire fall? The Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 CE from barbarian invasions, government corruption. The empire's division in 284 CE. Mercenary armies with no loyalty to Rome, political instability, over-reliance on slave labor that created massive unemployment, and ironically, Christianity itself, which undermined the state religion that had unified Rome for centuries. The Eastern Byzantine Empire survived until 1453, but the Rome that conquered the world was gone. Here's the question that haunts history. Rome fell not from external conquest but from internal decay. Government corruption, wealth inequality, unemployment, and over-reliance on cheap labor destroyed it from within. As we look at our modern world facing similar challenges, what lessons from Rome's fall should we heed? Are we repeating the same mistakes that brought down the greatest empire in history? Let us know in the comments, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.